Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Kubrat Pulev. Kubrat Pulev has branded Anthony Joshua a coward in a Tyson Fury-ish like message. Kubrat has branded Anthony Joshua a coward for refusing to fight him outside the UK. Unified heavyweight champion Joshua is set to defend his belts against Bulgaria's Pulev at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium July 25th, but of course we know due to the coronavirus has been postponed. Okay. And according to Pulev, multiple countries wanted to stage the contest, but Joshua was adamant that the bout must take place in the UK. Okay. Now, he said this verbatim: I think it's obvious because he's afraid. I don't see any other reason to demand it in London. We offered various destinations from Istanbul to Las Vegas, New York, or Saudi Arabia. And then I got the reply that Joshua would come up against me only in London. Wow. Otherwise, there would be no fight at all. And of course, I agreed to this condition. I am not concerned about the place. For example, I never asked for the fight to be in Sofia. From day one, I wanted it to take place at a neutral venue. This would be fair to both sides. There's no such thing as an ideal location for a true fighter. He can fight anywhere, and he's not worried about anything. Picking a certain destination is for cowards, for those who prefer to talk a lot rather than act. I can think of at least two other countries or two others who fit the description and who have refused to come to Sofia to face me: Dillian White and Jarrell Miller. Wow. Those are the words of Kubrat Pulev. Now, me counterpunching Kubrat Pulev. I think, first of all, I think Pulev is a fighter that he's a mandatory fighter. I think he's waited long enough and been patient with waiting for a particular opportunity. Okay. He's in position. He's only had one loss, the crucial loss to Kubrat Pulev. To Vladimir Klitschko. Okay. And since then, he's beaten every other fighter. But I will disagree with him. Well, let me tell you how I agree with him. What I do agree with him is that you should be able to fight anywhere. You shouldn't be a home team advantage shouldn't affect you anyway. And if it does, you're labeled a coward if you're picking different places or whatnot. Right. Now, I do agree with that. I do agree that it shouldn't matter. But just because you do pick places that's your home team, I think that's just showing power and dominance, with Joshua has being the A side, even though it's mandatory. Now, this is where it comes from the disagreements. I don't agree that the fight wouldn't have happened if it wasn't in the UK. If it couldn't be in the UK, I believe it would have been in Saudi Arabia or some other place. Okay, like he said, a neutral place. He's just reading a message from Joshua that said it had to be there. Well, if it wasn't there and if it had to be in the UK, and and Pulev had a problem with it being in the UK, then therefore the IBF would be notified, because Team Pulev could have notified the IBF and let them know that the only way this guy, according to them, are fighting is going, if it's to be in the UK. Then the IBF would contact Team Joshua to verify. Okay. And if that's the case, Joshua would be stripped of the IBF. Then the belt would automatically go to Kubrat Pulev, or they would set an eliminator or have Kubrat Pulev fight for that particular belt. Those are the two options that would have happened. That's what could have happened, and it didn't. Okay, so obviously it wasn't necessary for it to be in the UK. I think Pulev is looking at it and not telling us the whole story. He seen that and he knew he wanted this opportunity, and he wasn't going to let this opportunity slip due to location. If location's not a problem, why are we having this conversation? It would be different if he said, well, you know what, it only has to be in the UK. And then you said, fine. Then he says, no, what, I don't want to fight. That makes no sense. You know, especially coming from the fact that Pulev was supposed to fight Joshua back in 2017. So this fight's supposed to be already water under the bridge, and it's not Team Joshua's fault that that fight didn't happen. It's not his fault that he had to fight Takam. Pulev pulled out due to injury, right? So I don't see where the coward comes in. Cowards weren't one of those words that's used when a person doesn't want to fight or finds a way not to fight. Then that's where you can apply the word coward instead of, oh, well, he wants to fight in his home team, his home. And since that's how he wants it, we have to fold to his demands. Therefore, he's a coward. No, that's not the definition of a coward. You know what I mean? So he's sadly mistaken on what his terms are and the definition of the terms and the things he's claiming to Team Joshua. You know, does A side show diva-like demands in some cases? And it really, that's not really a diva-like demand, because it's not, what's the word? It's not nitpicky. Okay. So it's not one of those things where it's just out of the ordinary, because if it was, Pulev wouldn't have agreed to it, or Bob Arum wouldn't have agreed to it. It's called negotiating. That's what negotiations are made of. People want certain demands, certain things to happen. That's what the contract breaks down. All this, the lawyer reads over it, and the team agrees to what the lawyer is speaking over. And if they have any discrepancies, that's how that works. Okay, so Pulev at this point, I just think he's talking shit because he can. The quarantine has everyone. He needs to stay relevant. So he needs to blast or slam somebody. Okay. And speaking a little bit about refuse to come to Sofia to fight me, Dillian White and Jarrell Miller, you know, they're cowards because they don't want to fight there. That's stupid. You know what I mean? And that's hypocritical at the same time, because Sofia is, the last I heard, was in his home place, right? So it's one of those things where you are blasting and calling someone a coward for something that you're demanding other fighters to do. So aren't you the coward? By his own terms, right? You know, it's crazy, man. I don't know. They don't want to come to Sofia, where your hometown is, so there'll be your hometown advantage. And because they don't want to go there, they're the cowards. But you want them to come to your hometown, just like Joshua demands you to come to his. So that means you would be a coward too, making that demand, because guess what? He hasn't fought Jarrell Miller. He hasn't fought Dillian White either. But anyway, it just sounds strange to me. You guys tell me what you think about Kubrat Pulev's comments towards Anthony Joshua. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.